Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. How's everybody doing this morning? It's great to be here. We got a quick start on Facebook, much faster than normal, so we're happy to be here. I'm so excited I didn't even get to run the normal spot that I like to run at the beginning. We got some new intros coming for all the shows, including this one, in the coming weeks, and we hope to get that off the ground soon. But welcome everybody watching on the McGrath Podcast Network. Everybody watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the groups that allow us to share. Those of you that see this live and also see it later, we welcome you and thank you. Obviously, the ones we thank consistently are see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings from America's Pastime, Flo and Can from the Bottom Line Sports podcast. Great stuff that they do on their shows. Catch them on Let's Talk Sports, and we like to share their show when Flo reminds me, because I have a 66-year-old mind that doesn't want to remember these things. I said Let's Talk Sports. Ken Krause over at Golf Bud Sports of all sorts, and quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland. He's got a Pittsburgh focused national footprint. We've been a guest there on the Sports Corner with Ralph and Smoking Jim Frazier. They do that show on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. He did ask me while I was away and wasn't able to get on. That was before the Super Bowl. So we're sorry we missed Ralph that day, and hopefully we can get on with him soon. Same with Robert Butler over at Sports Scopes. We hope Robert soon as well. Guys, hope you all had a great Valentine's Day, or if you had somebody to celebrate with, hopefully you did it. And if you didn't, that's your choice too. We hope you enjoyed it and your wife enjoyed it. We had a great time. We went to a little Latino cafe that we kind of found because we were going to a concert last night. We went to see who did we go to see last night? Eric Church, who was tremendous, by the way. Nearly 3 hours that he did, for crying out loud. But we wanted to get a bite to eat, nothing fancy. And obviously, when you're looking for someplace, 6 days before Valentine's Day, you're not going to find much. We found this little Latino cafe that's, I don't know, 8 blocks up from the MVP arena. And we had a great little dinner. We enjoyed it and plan to go back. So we had a nice time late night. When I get to bed after 1 o'clock, man, these days, it's not pretty. What are we going to talk about today? I don't really know. We got the Olympics to talk about. The USA rallies yesterday to beat Denmark after getting down 2-0 early, kind of on their own auspices more than Denmark's. We got curling controversies, which if you like curling, maybe that floats your boat. Anyway, the USA women and USA men are both headed for what looks like gold medal showdowns with Canada in the next week or so. Some fun there. We can talk about the Ukrainian skeleton athlete who was banned, and the controversy there for wearing images of fallen comrades from the Ukraine. I don't know if I have a bigger I don't have a problem with that, right? But I think there's a slippery slope to that, and espousing your political beliefs on the medal podium. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. The U.S., by the way, in hockey will play Germany today. We'll check that out later today. I might even watch some of that game. Major League Baseball, pitchers and catchers have reported. The rest of the players will report soon. Workouts have started, at least for the Mets, Yankees, most of the teams. WBC news. The ABS system is getting started in Major League Baseball. We got Castellanos, who was a free agent, let go by Philadelphia. Just a weird story. But he becomes the San Diego first baseman in a course of a day. That's not going to work out well for them defensively, and lots of strikeouts in that bat. Verlander goes back home to Detroit. Can't read my writing on that one. But anyway, in the NFL, we got the Super Bowl. We haven't talked about the Super Bowl on this show. We can certainly revisit that nightmare if you want. Listen, I'm not devastated. Disappointed, not devastated. The giant losses, devastation. The 2 giant losses, devastation. This one, more disappointment in how badly they played than the fact that they lost. Trinidad Chambliss, we got the draft coming up in 2 months. Some news regarding that. We don't know. Trinidad Chambliss will not be part of it. I know Jack wants him to be a second pick in the draft. Not going to happen. Wouldn't have happened anyway. Coaching moves we may not have talked about on this show. Joey Aguilar from Tennessee also up in limbo a little bit for the draft, as he is fighting for some eligibility. Brian Flores' trial will go forward in the NFL. NBA All-Star Weekend. Do we really care? Who cares about the NBA All-Star Weekend? I mean, it's gotten to be a joke. And I don't understand. I said this on the Sunday morning show earlier on the McGrath Podcast Network here. The Post has got a headline: Team Knicks win coveted NBA All-Star Event championship. It was like a glorified horse game. Never heard of it. How can it be coveted? In other news, Brad's Silver. What's Silver's name? Anyway, the commissioner has said he's going to crack down on tanking. I have a solution for it. I've had it in all drafts, and we'll talk about it a little bit. I say the first team out of the playoffs. So you got 16 teams in, whatever it is. 17th team, they pick first and go down from there, and then start, backwards with the winning teams. You'll have incentive to win all year. NFL should be doing this. The NBA should be doing this. Everybody should be doing this. Nobody should be tanking. And he has leveled fines already to the Jazz and the Pacers for sitting players out. Chris Paul retires. What else we got? NCAA basketball. Arizona, number one. Arizona loses twice in a week. Michigan will go back to number one. Arizona loses to Kansas earlier this week and to Texas Tech yesterday. And St. John's beats Providence, but also a little dust up in that game as well. But this is your show, guys. And that's my little rundown quickly. You get to chat about whatever you want. Good afternoon or good morning. Sorry, Richard Miller. Good to have you with us. Richard, you might be new. If you are, I'd love to know where you are and what teams you root for. Football, basketball, college, pros, baseball. JB's with us. JB from the Back It Up Binge podcast over on YouTube. Gotta add, I only have so many characters I can put on the damn scroll at the bottom. I'd love to give JB his props as well. JB comes on the show a lot and contributes, and we'd like to be able to give him a little shoot up. This is just my office, Richard. By the way, I used to do a green screen of a studio, and I liked it, but the colors were always hard to get right. But my office/studio just became my office because I got all this stuff up in the back, and you see my Patriot regalia, you see the Yankee regalia, and you got the Mick and over here. You got the Mick and Roger and the babe in a photo. This one over here, you can't quite see this one here. It's a picture was given to me by my brother-in-law and sister-in-law one year for my birthday. And it's all the names of the guys who have ever played for the Yankees. And it builds out the facade of the old Yankee Stadium. It's really cool. Anyway, Richard, give us some information about you as a first-time stop. I wasn't debating whether it was a physical accomplishment. There's a lot of things. I would say skeleton athletes are more athletes than curlers, for instance. Why? Who is that, by the way? Is that you, Chris? I don't know who that is. That's got to be Chris. Is that you, Chris? Going to do our intros, by the way. I got to talk to you, Chris, about something. I think I have a way. I'm working on the scripts. And I think I have a way for you to record them and get them to me. I downloaded a voice recorder on my phone and was able to save it to my phone and then send the file out to myself via email. So that would probably be the way we do it. Let me know if that's you. Some of you guys have different accounts and you try to sneak up on me. I think they're athletes. It's kind of dangerous, too, going down on your back at like 100 miles an hour. But the reason I brought him up was the fact that he was banned from competing. This Ukrainian athlete whose name I don't have right in front of me. Oh, yes, I do. I wrote it down Friday. Hold on. And it's Vladislav Hernandez. I know I butchered your name, but I butcher everybody's name. I'm sorry. He was not allowed to compete because of the images he had on his helmet of Ukrainian athletes and coaches who had fallen in the war with Russia. To me, it's more of a tribute than a political statement necessarily. I've got to sit and watch my athletes go up there and disparage their country. A couple of them have done that. If you don't want to do that, just don't go. Go compete for somebody else. Find something in your heritage. There's plenty of people who find ways to get on other teams, other countries. And now I'll get called, whatever. Toronto Maple Leafs are to take number 3 pick in next year's draft. They've been trading away top draft picks for 20 years. The Maple Leafs forever, and we haven't talked a lot of hockey this year. Where are the Maple Leafs sitting right now? And listen, it's going to be very hard. I've lost touch with Jim Beringer. I'm not sure how. It's my fault. I'm going to take total responsibility for that. I should probably reach out to Jim and see how he's doing and rekindle our professional relationship, because it was good having Jim on from time to time to talk some hockey. The Maple Leafs sit right now at 27-21. And the reason I haven't talked a lot about hockey is because the Rangers suck, 22-29. I'm a very fair weather fan when it comes to hockey, except for a very high level. And come playoff time, Stanley Cup time, I'll get more into it. We had some great starts this year that have kind of fizzled a little bit more recently, but some great stories will develop in the course of the season. In 1993, the San Francisco Giants went 103-59, came in second to the Braves, I believe, that season. Dusty Baker was the manager. And I agree, that's when baseball's baseball. I'm not a wild card guy, man. I was okay. I grew up when I was coming of age in baseball. We started with the first year, I was probably paying attention. They broke into 2 divisions in each league, and I was fine with that. I've been fine with that until they did away with it. I'd like to go back to it. We're never going backwards, unfortunately, Chris. But yeah, that was a great race. They won 103 games, and I believe the Braves won 100, either 100. They won 104, and they lost the last day of the season, I think, the Giants to fall out of the race. So I knew that was you. My favorite letters in MLB in 2026, ABS, about time. I know you hate it. Again, I do hate it, but I understand why it's here. The umpires have brought this on themselves. I don't want any more AI in my life than I have to have. I had a joke. Speaking of AI, here goes my stream of consciousness. I had somebody text me last night when I sent a picture from the MVP Center at the Eric Church. Out to dinner, I posted a picture, and then at the event, and we just came. I had pictures of my granddaughter from the night before. We just came back from a 2-week vacation. I posted those stuff, and the guy says, I guess I'm old, and at my age do I have all this energy? I don't have a lot of energy. It's all AI. It's not me. I'm not really doing these things. But speaking of AI, I'm not a fan of replay in general because it's bastardized. It was supposed to be for fair and foul balls and home runs. It's become, if I slide into second base, right? Here's the base. Here's me sliding in. I slide into second base, and my foot comes off for just a millimeter of a second, or my hand, or whatever, and I'm getting called out. That's not what it's for. And the ABS system, again, I don't like any type of replay. I don't. Human error is part of the game. Players can make errors, so can officials and umpires. I know a lot of people don't agree with me. I know Chris doesn't agree with me. I know Danny Fuller doesn't agree with me. That's all fine. But I don't even have an argument that we don't need it, because the umpires have done nothing to police themselves and make their all of them good. Some of them are very, very good with balls and strikes. Others suck. Now, we've already found out that because of ABS, every player has been measured, and the strike zone is going to shrink. Like, pitchers don't have enough of a again, I've said this forever. Every major rule change in baseball since 1968 has gone against pitchers. Lower the mound, DH, smaller ballparks, harder baseballs, better bats. You name it. DH. Now the strike zone is going to be smaller. Why don't we just put the ball on a tee and go from there? I hate the way my game has been ruined by just mismanagement and overthinking stuff. Because you have all these rules in the rule book that if they were just enforced, we're worried about the speed of the game. Could have been regulated by enforcing the rules in the playbook. We didn't need pitch clocks. As far as stolen bases, we don't need bigger bags and shorter baselines. Artificially improving a game does not work. And maybe this will be fine. Maybe I'll learn to live with it. I learned to kind of like the pitch clock because it did speed up games. I just said we didn't need it. Paul Rosen. Yeah, we could get Paul Rosen on to talk some hockey for sure. I'm not sure. Again, you can tell me, and I'm sure Paul can tell me himself too if I have a conversation with him, how the only reason I had Jim on, because I like Jim, and Jim is a colleague, and we've worked together on different shows. For whatever reason, we lost touch. And again, I'm blaming myself. But Jim is, following a game, all the games pretty much day in and day out, because that's what he does. He writes about hockey for several outlets. And Paul, I know, is coaching, and he's in Australia a lot. So I don't know whether he has his finger on the pulse of everything. But I certainly could consider doing some of that. We only do it, once a month or so to kind of bring it up, because I don't want to lose the flow of this game. Maybe we do it on the Jack and Keith weekend playbook. Maybe we'd fit him in there somewhere. I don't know. We'll talk about it, Chris. I do want you, Chris, though, and I'll send you a message later if you want. I'm assuming you have a smartphone. You see if you can download a voice recorder app. Let's see, I'll show you what to find. I have a Galaxy, a Samsung, a Android, and I'll show you the one that I downloaded. It's all free. It looks. Let me do it this way. You can see here at the top, I think. If I do it like this, it's that voice recorder. It's a red, I don't know if you can find the same one. I'm sure there's hundreds like it, if not thousands, right? It's got a little microphone and a red background. You can record there. You can save the file to your phone, your computer, whatever, email it to me, and then I can download it on my computer and in turn get it up on StreamYard and be able to put together your voice with whatever I want to use as the lead in, which will probably be just simply the slides, maybe. So I'm working on the scripts for those as we speak. Anyway, what do you got here? With looming lockout in baseball, yes, we will likely look at the chances of a lockout next year are probably 99.9%, because salary cap's all we're going to hear. I want to talk about salary floors. Everybody else wants to talk about salary caps. There was a time I was for salary caps. As a free market capitalist, I'm not for that. I don't think we should be restricting salaries. The market should bear that. And again, JB had a great point. I'm pretty sure it was JB a couple of weeks ago said, if teams can't spend money and go out of business, fine. We retract. We have less teams. With less teams, you have less jobs, which the players' union will never go for, right? And also, salaries will come down naturally. Anyway, the last one in 1994, that wasn't the last lockout, by the way. That was a full-blown strike. And there's been several lockouts since then. We just had one a couple of years ago. Didn't cost any games, but they locked them out of spring training. I want to say in 2021. I can't remember the year, but there's been several. But I know you're talking about a full-blown strike, right? The last strike we had that cost games was 1994, cost an entire last part of the season, cost of the World Series, and part of the beginning of the next year. But anyway, I think Chris says it's greatly misunderstood by the fans. McGuire and Sosa brought back. What don't we understand? It's all about money. And quite frankly, I don't remember what the issues were then. I'd have to refresh myself. But I guarantee you at the end of the day, it's about money. Millionaires fighting billionaires. That's what we have. After 1994 was awful. Yankees Expos playing great baseball. Matt Williams chasing 60 home runs long before McGuire and Sosa were doing it. Tony Gwynn was chasing 400. We lost what would have been a tremendous stretch run in baseball and potential great postseason for nothing. And Sosa, and I would argue that Cal Ripken actually had McGuire and Sosa had a great impact in 97. But I would say 95, when Cal Ripken broke Lou Gehrig's record, that really was the catalyst that started to bring baseball back. 97 helped. And now we know that 97, but according to some people, should be asterisked and shouldn't even exist. The one that's crazy is the first. Who even knows? It can't tell. It's ridiculous. It's still where you spot the football, correct? It's just a measurement, right? So the officials are still throwing the ball all over the place. They set it down. Then there's a virtual measurement, which you can still challenge. It just no guy's bringing the chains out, Rick. So the first down AI isn't really spotting where the ball goes until the umpire puts the ball down. Unless I totally misunderstand the rule. All we're doing is eliminating two guys on a chain, bringing it out to measure. So you can still be wrong, and you can still challenge it. I know I'm in the minority here when it comes to this kind of thing because I'm old school. I always reference the fact that Don Deckinger blows a call in Game 6 of the 1985 World Series. Game would have been over when George Orta was out by about a step at first base, and he blew the call. The Royals came back and won Game 6, won Game 7 in a rousing comeback. And nobody even remembered the 1985 World Series if it wasn't for that. Yes, you want to get the calls right the majority of the time and have the teams that should win. But again, the memories that people have are important too. We'll remember it. We'll talk about that, at least I will, forever. If we had replay and it just got replayed, I wouldn't even remember who won the 1985 World Series, maybe. I probably would. But people talk about it. The Galarraga perfect game that Jim Joyce blew, and it just killed him. But Galarraga was the most gracious guy about it. Human error is part of sports. Why can't it be for officials? I know I'm in a minority here. Oops, sorry, I left JB. That was JB. JB roots for bankruptcy of teams. Union can't claim free market, then share revenues. I'm not sure they do. I guess they do claim free market, right? But you certainly can't share revenues and have a free market. I've never been in favor of the revenue sharing because these teams don't even use it. Even if you're pro revenue sharing, they don't use it the way they're supposed to use it. They put it in their pocket, basically. Most of them, they don't reinvest it in their team to get better. If you own the Rockies, find somebody to buy the Rockies who has money. Find somebody to buy. And I understand that there are roadblocks to make it as much money in Colorado or Denver and Kansas City and Tampa than there is in New York or LA or Boston or Philadelphia. But figure it out. And if it can't support it, then they can move somewhere else where they can, or they can just contract teams. There's too many teams anyway. Go look at the pitching staffs in baseball. You tell me there's not too many teams. And Rob Manfred wants to talk expansion again. Free market, man. And maybe even performance-based contracts. How about that? More performance-based contracts. You know how I got paid basically for all 45 years of my professional life was performance. If I didn't perform, I didn't get paid. Or if the teams I managed didn't perform, I didn't get paid. I understood that. Go out and do my job to the best of my ability. And fortunately for me, it worked out pretty well. Unions suck. Sorry if you were part of one and, you know, it protected your job, you think. Here's the thing. What guys in unions don't get, there was a place for unions, you know, decades ago. But now all they do is protect people who don't do their jobs. I do have this conversation with my wife now and again because she was obviously part of a union with the state of New York as a lawyer for the Public Service Commission. But well, she wasn't part of a union. Actually, she was management confidential. But the kids are part of unions and whatnot. And look to me, if you do your job and do it well, you don't need a union to protect you. It protects the guy next to you who you're doing his work. Stupid. Hello, Jeremy. Good to have you with us today. Hope you're doing well. Catch Jeremy's stuff, I believe, on Let's Talk Sports. Give a little plug for yourself, Jeremy. Any of you guys who do podcasts and come in here and say hello, please feel free to put a comment up promoting your shows. The YouTube chat is where it's at. Whew. Oh, pound that like a button, like water on a plant, make you grow. What YouTube chat? There is no YouTube chat. I like you in there, though, because I do want to see that grow. And I'm glad you're in there. And some of you guys who, there's going to come a point that we're going to be moving everything to YouTube. I don't know when. It could be 2 years from now, for all I know, because I've got a lot to learn about YouTube optimization. But Facebook is really, again, throttling some of the stuff that we try to do. With the show, and quite frankly, the only reason I'm here on Facebook is the shows. If it wasn't for doing these shows, I wouldn't be on Facebook at all because it's a freaking cesspool that does nothing but anger me, and I need to be off it for my wife's sanity and my own. But in any event, we're going to keep trying to push the YouTube stuff as well, and. You know, we've grown. I mean, the subscribers are going up. But again, we're chasing 3,000 here on Facebook. And we've got, you know, we're chasing 100 on YouTube. So we'll get there, though. And I appreciate Chris. Chris is coming in through YouTube. I just remember he's got a different screen name. So now I remember why you're coming from there. Thank you. An interesting name is spring training for the Blue Jays. Tim Raines offering help. Tim Rock Raines, one of my favorite players, by the way. Was way past his prime when he got to the Yankees, but was a key player on that 96 World Series team where they finally got back over the top against the Braves. It was a key veteran contributor to a fun team. Jeremy says MLB and NFL will need to hold refs and umpires to a higher standard. I agree 100%. And that's one of the reasons, obviously, we've got ABS, which I hate. I can't have an argument. If you're just going to allow guys like, you know, what's his name, who retired in the middle of the season 2 years ago. Imagine I've already forgotten him. That's how bad he was. But they had some guys last year who were just atrocious, you know, but if they can't hold their guys, their own guys, the umpires have nobody to blame for this ABS and increased review than themselves. I'm okay with mistakes. As I said, human error, part of life, part of baseball, part of sports in general. Umpires are going to make mistakes just like players are. But not to the extent we've been seeing with balls and strikes. It's terrible. The NFL's no better. Nobody knows what pass interference is anymore, right? Nobody knows what roughing the quarterback is. Everybody's got their own interpretation. No consistency. I don't care if you make the wrong call, but make the wrong call the same way all the time. The NFL, if they're going to have replay, you've got to be able to review pass interference. You have to. I'm not saying you can have review for every penalty. The games will go on forever. But we have to be able to review pass interference because it's gotten out of control. 100%. Kneecat, this is you haven't done baseball shows before? I know you're a big football guy, Jeremy. I'm assuming you're a Tigers fan. By the way, nice signing with Framber Valdez. You got to figure out the Scooble thing, though. He gets a record arbitration. You go out and give Framber Valdez I don't know what the contract was, but for more years. And with Scooble's guy, he's got 1 year. And if you don't get him back, man, you're going to head in the wrong direction. I do think Verlander's got something left. And I like the fact that he's coming home. All that's left for them to do is sign Scherzer, and they'll be fine. They got a decent starting staff. I'm not sure about the bullpen, but I like the starting staff, and I like some of the pieces in that lineup. Gleyber's Torres notwithstanding. Until the season starts, it will be every other Saturday night. Cool. There you go. So check out JB and what did we say it was here? Kneecap biting with the Motor City Lions. I like doing my baseball. We didn't miss too many weeks. It was fun. I was on vacation mostly, here and there too, if there was a little bit of lack of news. But we went pretty much all year with the MLB update. And we'll tune into your show a little bit. And hopefully, Jeremy, you can pop into the MLB update and we'll share some baseball, I don't know about knowledge, opinions. Till the season starts. Oh, I did that one already. Angel Hernandez, thank you so much. I don't know why I tried to block him out of my mind. Angel Hernandez is probably the worst major league umpire in the history of major league umpires. And for years, they just kept throwing him back out there. So by doing that, and there's still a few guys there now that are bad. Most of them are very good. You know, and my good friend Dale Scott, who I interviewed on this show or this network, TGI Sports Talk, a while back when he wrote his book came out, The Umpire's Out, was a very good major league umpire for over 2 decades, I believe. But I know a couple groups that I'm in where he was offended and I think left the group because of the umpire bashing. And I totally understand it. But I'm not bashing the Dale Scotts, right? I'm not bashing the guys who do their job and do it well and take pride in their craft. I'm bashing the Angel Hernandez and guys like that who go out there and half-ass it every night. Different strike zone. Obviously not even caring what they look like, calling balls and strikes specifically and some other calls. You brought this on yourselves, and there'll be more of it until there are no umpires. Is that what we want? Total AI running baseball games, running football games? I don't want that. I don't know. No one knows the catch. That's another one. That's a great one. We change it from week to week, from play to play. Catches. I was trying to get the catches. I appreciate you giving me that one, Jeremy. Catches and pass interference are the two things that just drive me nuts. I'm going to tell you, the most disputed catch of this season, what game was that in? I don't think it was a catch, right? The argument was about whether it was a catch or not. What game was that? Was that? I'm having so much trouble remembering this. Jesus. Was it? Oh, it was a Buffalo game, right? Yeah, Buffalo and Denver. Look, it's not irrefutable whether that was a catch or not. The real shame is if you've got replay and you don't use it on that play, that's just silly. Because another guy would have called that a catch probably, which I would have disagreed with, and it still should have gone to replay. I mean, we can't even decide which things are going to need to replay or not. Chris Illich is a moron. That's pretty straight. And doesn't he owns the Tigers, and does he own the Red Wings as well? I think he does, doesn't he, Jeremy? I'm not sure if you're a hockey fan. I'm assuming you started doing a baseball show, you're a big Tigers fan. You got one of the best managers in baseball. I know he's mixed up in the whole sign stealing thing. AJ Hinch is a really good manager, and I'm glad they made the playoffs because I was afraid if they collapsed totally last year, he would have got fired. But he can manage my team anytime, and I'll trade my manager for him tomorrow. But I think Illich also owns the Red Wings. I also think this makes the starting rotation one of the best rotations in the American League. Listen, if Verlander pitches like he pitched last year, Casey Mize I like a lot, coming back off some injury issues, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look at the rest of this, just so I'm not. I'm going to use ESPN. Am I really? I guess I will. Let's see what they show me. ESPN is the worst about keeping their depth charts up. It's ridiculously bad. Tigers. There's somebody I talked about the other day, and now his name's escaping me. Oh, you got Jack Flaherty still, who again has a good game here. Reese Olson, I think, has got some potential. Troy Melton pitched well in spots last year. Now you got Verlander going to fill one of those spots. Is Jack Flaherty even on the team? This freaking pisses me off. I hate ESPN. I don't know why I ever even use it as any kind of resource because they don't update stuff. Let me go to MLB. So they don't even have Verlander listed as a starter. And obviously he's going to be a starter. Man, so frustrating. So you got Skubal. They didn't have Valdez in there. So Valdez, Flaherty is still there. Casey Mize, Justin Verlander. That's a pretty good start. And I think Reese Olson is a guy who's going to be maybe a future star in this league as well. Thank you, Jeremy. I probably should have just gone to you. Hey, maybe they'll sign Scherzer to a one-year contract. Bring him home too. That's not happening. I still think he ends up in San Francisco with his old college coach, actually, Max Scherzer. But I like what the Tigers have done over there. And a really good manager. You are what you eat, and time catches up with all of us. The barrel-chested Framber Valdez is often dripping in sweat in the third inning. Detroit hot dogs might be the capper for him. He's still a top-notch. When he's healthy, he's a top-notch MLB starter. I mean, we got to start stretching these guys out and letting them pitch more innings. This is the problem. I'm not going to go into that whole, Do I have music playing? Yeah, I still hear the music. I apologize, guys. I didn't quite mute it. All right, where was I here? See some guys coming in a little late today. Good to have you guys with us. One umpire strike zone fluctuates more than a newly mined cryptocurrency coin. Again, they brought it on themselves. I have no more defense. Danny Fuller, I don't know if Danny's with us yet. He could be here later in the comments. If you're here, Danny, good morning. Danny Fuller and I have disagreed on this here on these shows and in our chats. But I don't have an argument. I'm sorry. If you're going to allow your people, when I'm talking about the umpires union and the people who manage the umpires, if you're going to allow your people to be as inconsistent and terrible as these people are, then you reap what you sow. Colby Parkinson is TD versus the Lions. I don't know if I remember that play, quite frankly. But whatever, I'm going to take your word for it. Yeah, there's a ton of them. There's 2 or 3 in every game. CA, get in touch with Jim. I was thinking of him during the show while you all chatting about Olympic hockey. I got to get Jim. Maybe I will try to get Jim on next week. I don't know when the final, the gold medal game would be. We'll see if we can get him in, talk about the first half of the NHL season. And the problem is, and I'd like to have him on, but I really like what we do on the show now. We have really become a stream of consciousness, and we spend 2 hours just jumping around talking about whatever. And when I bring Jim or anybody on a Sunday show, I may do something different with Jim on a different show. Yeah, because I might add another show. That's what I need, is another show. So it's hard. It's funny. We get into it here, and then some of the guys aren't interested in hockey. I lose a little bit. So I don't know. I might start another. Or maybe I'll talk to Jack about bringing Jim on to the Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. I think Jim would fit that format better than this one, quite frankly. So we could have him on a Friday or a Monday and talk some hockey. We can bring him on weekly even, I mean, on one of those shows. So I'll talk to Jack about it. Well, that's, I guess, the interception and the catch I was talking about is the same play. I'm not going to say that was a catch, but I'm not going to say it was an interception either. My big problem there is we have replay and we don't use it. There's a perfect example of a place that had to be used. Had to be, and we don't use it. But we use it on things that we don't need to use it on and waste time. That play had to be reviewed. I don't care if you called it a catch or you called it an interception, which they did. It's got to be reviewed. It's not 100%. There's no way anybody on that field, because I watched it 100 times. I'm not sure who had the ball when. If you put a gun to my head, I'm going to call it an interception. But it's got to be looked at. There's Paul Spada, Boston Paul. You know, I didn't think the Super Bowl was officiated all that badly. There's a bunch of fake, and don't fall for the fake bullshit. Excuse my French. The BS button. Everybody needs one of these in their life, by the way. Comes in very handy. Don't believe some of the nonsensical stuff. I'm going to warn everybody here again. You go on the internet, you go on Facebook especially, any social media. Don't repeat and share stories that you haven't vetted and make sure that there's a credible source somewhere, at least one. I mean, there's all these stories that I find on in the Patriot groups and in the NFL groups in general, and some of the other ones that say that Mike Vrabel and the Patriots have been protesting to the NFL to, some go as far as they overturn the results of the game because of the officiating. That's not happening. That never happened. I'm so tired of this. That's why I want to get off social media. That's why I want to get YouTube to a really optimized place so I can just move everything. Hopefully you guys all move with me, because I don't want to spend the rest of my life in this trash heap of Facebook. And it's not just sports, obviously. But nobody was complaining. The only thing I would bitch about the entire game was the hit on Diggs after a play out of bounds. Obviously a personal foul, but it doesn't impact the game. Not going to go up in arms. And nobody for the Patriots, including Mike Vrabel, has done any complaining or asking the NFL to make a ruling or look into the officiating of Super Bowl. Nobody. By the way, speaking of Mike Vrabel, I put something up on my personal page the other day just to watch Mike Vrabel, and he's done this all year, wins and losses, greeted each player at the top of that tunnel, and to watch him after the Super Bowl greet each one of those guys, that man is a leader. That's why players run through walls for this guy. And that's why the Patriots aren't a 1 year wonder. You guys can talk all you want. All you want. I'll put this right back up in a second, Jeremy. You can talk all you want about the schedule. I don't care. I don't care. I can only play the teams that were put in front of me. And most of those teams, a few of those teams that were so bad, and you want to talk about your schedule, were supposed to be good. And I can only play the teams that they put in front of me. And the teams that were bad, most of them they beat up on, as they should have. Teams they were losing to the last 2 years. They went to the Super Bowl. Your team didn't. Don't talk to me about schedules. Next year's schedule will be harder. Will they win 14 games? Probably not. But this team could win 10 or 11 games and be better than this year's team. It's a young team. 30 new players, more than anybody in the NFL. This team will be back. I'm not one to get into a lot of hyperbole about my team. I don't go on preview shows and say, well, I think we'll be 17-0, maybe a close game here or there. That's just BS. I'm honest to a fault about all my teams. Sometimes I'm too hard on my teams, I'm told. I'm not a homer. But I'm going to tell you that this team is headed they went to the Super Bowl. They're headed in the right direction. They're here to stay. That doesn't mean they won't take a step back. Teams take a step back. It's hard to be good. Do I think they're going to be in 14 AFC championship games in the next 20 years? I hope so. No, they won't. The NFL thrives on their parity. But this team is back, and the culture's changed 100%. And the mistakes made at the end of Belichick era, including the first year after the Belichick era, with a huge mistake made by Robert Kraft. I know he felt, he was at least honor bound, if not contractually bound, to make Gerard Mayo the coach. Wasn't ready. But you saw such a total transformation in culture. And Drake May, if you think he only performed well because of the people that he played, you're not paying attention. End of story. That's what I thought. He had the Red Wings. All he wants is his dollar. He's the pizza guy, I think, too. Isn't he? Doesn't he own one of the pizza chains? Maybe I'm missing somebody else. Who's that? The man, the myth, the legend. You, Paul? You are the man, the myth, the legend out there in Wisconsin. Boston, Paul, with teams in Oregon, Boston. Where else? Scuba. Yeah, I think we knew that. I'm not a big Jack Flaherty fan, by the way. I think the kid might very well supplant. And if Verlander falls on his face, and by the way, I think they paid him 13 or 14 million, right? It isn't like they just gave him, $1 million and said, hey, come back home and see how it works out. He was one of the worst pitchers in baseball the first half of last season. At one point, he was 0-8. His ERA was around 6. But he pitched pretty well, I think, the last 3 months of the season. I think he's got something left in the tank. Flaherty, I'm not so sure about. Is it John or Jack? I always call him the wrong name. Pitched great in the World Series against the Yankees, but he's an innings eater. And if you're bad and I never understood the inning eater thing, man. If the guy's no good, do I care if he pitches a lot of innings? Not the biggest fan. That's another guy that I've heard some about as well. But their bullpen I'm not crazy about. I mean, you're looking at Kyle Finnegan, Kensley Jansen. I mean, I just don't know if I'm excited about what's that bullpen. They think that's fortifying the back end of the bullpen. That's a gamble. Second, I wasn't the only one censored that morning while you were on the sunny patio on travels, meaning you hit something that banned our communication. Did I? I apologize. It's very hard to do when I'm sitting there in the sun, and I do apologize. I never would do that to anybody. The only one I've ever banned were guys that were, making total asses of themselves with stuff, irrelevant. The penis head guy, for instance, got banned. I've never ban UCA. I must have hit something as I was trying to do stuff, so I apologize 100%. I think that happened one other time, and I think it was again when I was being blinded by the sun doing something remote. I do the best I can when I'm traveling so that we can have a show, and again, all I can do is apologize. And I don't do that very often. Is Olsen out for the year? Really? Well, that's a shame. Lefty? Not sure who we're talking about there, which then I was thinking you were talking about Verlander or Flaherty, but then you said lefty, so I'm not sure. Man, I don't. I love movie references on this show. And I love Rain Man, great movie. But I don't remember the Fernando Valenzuela reference. Another thing we didn't get a chance to talk a little bit about, or much about, because I was away. We did talk about it, I guess, a couple Sundays ago when I did an hour or so in the afternoon after an excursion, was the Hall of Fame voting. And, I'm going to say one more time, I'm not up in arms. I'm not, because I expected this to happen. They've been screwing Robert Kraft over for years. I had no reason to think that Bill Belichick would get on the first ballot. Because he needed to be punished in the eyes of the NFL. It's not the NFL, by the way. The NFL doesn't run. Big misnomer. People blame MLB and they blame the NFL about Hall of Fame stuff. They don't even have anything to do with it. Do it have some influence with writers and voters? Sure. Probably. But those Hall of Fames are independent organizations, as are the people that vote. Bill Belichick is absolutely a first ballot Hall of Famer. I understand what he's got to wait. If they do it to Brady, which comes up, is it either next year or the year after? It'd be a travesty. But I'm not all worked up about it because I understand. Yes, sir. Met him at a Tigers game. Valenzuela was awesome and barely bilingual. What year was that? Because, he's been in the country since 1980, 79, 80, I guess. It was his first year with the Dodgers. He pitched a few games in 80 before he broke out in 81. His star burned bright and quickly. Fernando, after 85, 86, maybe 87. He had a good year, but his arm broke down quickly, and because he probably wasn't 19 years old when he got here. He probably had a boatload of innings on him in the Mexican League before he got here. Anyway, you saw a clip of Jim skating on an outdoor rink. I got to reach out to him. I'll reach out to him this week. Good man. There's Neil Bush. How you doing, Neil? Good to have you with us. Gold medal game is next Sunday morning. Not sure of the time. It's hard with the time difference, right? Because these games are being played so early. I stayed up. We got home from the concert. Jesus, like 11 or 1 o'clock. 12:30. 12:30. Because he went like 2 hours and 45 minutes. What a tremendous show. I got to tell you. Country guys do the best shows. And I was watching some of the stuff on tape. Even then, NBC had it on. They didn't have Saturday Night Live on. They had some Olympic stuff. So I watched some of the, some of the X game stuff, if you will. They had on the skiing with somersaults and whatever else you want to call it. Well, we'll check that out. I mean, both, as we said, it would appear both the men's and women's teams, the U.S. and Canadians, are heading for a clash. I don't think it'll end up being. I don't think we'll see the same type of. Well, on the ice, maybe. I don't know. Amongst the fans, I don't think it being in Milan, we're going to see a whole lot of the same type of fanfare that we saw here during the Hockey World Cup or whatever we called it here, I don't know, 18 months ago, whenever that was. That got kind of ugly at times. I get it. Real life spills into sports often. But let's just show some class, okay, when that happens, please. Again, I kind of dropped the ball there. Jim and I haven't spoken in quite a while, and I dropped the ball in reaching out to him, quite frankly. I'm going to take total responsibility for that. Nothing happened with Jim. Jim didn't boycott our show. I just had to reach out to him in the longest time. And it's hard because, listen, I love hockey when my team is good and when we get to Stanley Cup time, but I have to really do a lot of work to stay up on it because it's not my first thing. Even the NBA right now, it's NBA. It's college basketball, not in that order. College basketball's first. We got Major League Baseball starting. So it's a matter of where to put them. And I don't know if I want to disrupt the flow of this show because I like the way it's your guys' show and we just play off you guys being my co-host. But I do think that Jim would probably fit our Jack and Keith format during hockey season. Jack's not a big hockey guy either, so I don't know if I'm going to convince him that's the right thing to do. But yeah, there you go. Jack's not a hockey guy. I can force him. He's not a college football guy either, but I turned him into one this year. I turned him into such a great college football fan. He thinks Trinidad Chambliss will be it'll be a coin flip between Trinidad Chambliss and Arch Manning next year as to who'll be the first pick of the NFL draft. It won't be. Just saying. Can we see Trinidad Chambliss play 1 year without Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr.? If he plays lights out, great. James had a great point this morning. He compared him to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson got drafted in the 3rd round. That's where these guys should be taken. Except the no-brainers. There's so many quarterbacks that teams reach for. That's why 8% of the quarterbacks taken in the 1st round since 1966 have won a Super Bowl. It's a little higher since like the last 25 years. It's like 10%. I mean, think about it. I'm not saying first round draft picks don't win. I didn't say Super Bowls were won by guys who weren't picked in the first round. I didn't say that. This gets turned around a lot. I'm telling you, there's too many quarterbacks taken in the first round. Some of them have to be. I understand. The numbers go up a little bit because Darnold won. I guess it would have gone up either way. But by the way, of the, I don't know, the number was like crazy. It was like, I don't know. I can't remember the number. But also a good portion of those guys who actually won Super Bowls didn't win with the team they were picked by. Darnold falls in that group. CA, third, you may remember I told you years ago to get everyone to YouTube before these dilemmas. Reminds us of a warning. 50K plus Vikings Facebook group before Mark Z's FBT cruise, tricks, BML, viruses, etc. I don't know about all that stuff, but I will tell you Facebook is very difficult to work with. Just to kind of summarize what he's saying. I do remember you told me that. Here's the problem. At the time, I had a full-time job, and Facebook was the easiest place I had to maximize my viewership and my subscribers. YouTube is much less friendly to do that. There are people I can pay. I'm not willing to pay. This is a avocation for me, not a vocation. I'm not looking to make money, although I did make like $27 from Facebook this year. So there is that. I don't care if I ever make money, quite frankly. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to have fun and get my message, and not my message, get as many people involved as I can. And Facebook has been the tool that was best for that. For the first 5 years of this show. Now, as we start moving to 6 and 7, and I've been less than enamored with Facebook for a long time, as you know. I mean, again, some of the cryptic stuff that CA talks about here, I don't know about crew tricks and BML and viruses. I've never had a virus, so I'm more wide open on Facebook than most of the people that I know, and I've never had any viruses. But I will tell you that it's very hard to get the show started on my own page sometimes. I've got to go back and try it 3 or 4 times. Today was good. I didn't put it in, and it could be StreamYard. Maybe it's not Facebook. But Facebook will throttle some of our views and whatnot from time to time. And then all of a sudden they'll open it wide open where we'll have 2,000 views on three different, it used to be 3 different platforms. I meant to ask Brian if MPN was going to have a Facebook presence, but I don't really care. I think YouTube is the way to go at CA, and I appreciate that. I don't remember all those conversations. I'm old. But I'm certainly not going to dispute the fact that you did say all this stuff. So, and Facebook's a bunch of Nazis anyway. I'm sorry. They just are. Going back to that Buffalo game, I thought it was an interception. Yeah. But I was going to call it one way. I would call it an interception. It certainly wasn't. I don't know what people were watching. When people were showing still photos the next day and saying, how is this not a catch? You can't tell from a still photo whether it's a catch. Jeez, my God. Jack Hurst likes to say fans are idiots. I don't believe that. I'm a fan. You guys are all fans as well as, doing what we do here. Fans aren't idiots. I'm not going to, lump you guys all together. But we all have our provincialism, right? We have our own narrative that we want to tell, especially when it comes to our teams. I try not to do it. I try to be fairly impartial. I'm always going to pick my team to win. I'm never going to root against my team. But I'll tell you reasons why they won't do well. I said it, and it happened in the Super Bowl. If Drake May got rattled and made big mistakes, we would lose. Happened. I'm going to give you a fair analysis. You can tell me I'm a homer. You can tell me whatever. I'm not. I've been called worse than that. Geez, in just the last few weeks, I've been called a racist. I've been called a white supremacist. I've been called somebody with unrecognized white privilege. God. It makes me laugh. And I brought it on myself. I did it on purpose because I wanted to expose the type of vitriol that would be thrown at me. And I got it. With his tremendous contribution to baseball over the course of his career, let's see Tommy John in the Hall of Fame. I have had Tommy John on the show and interviewed him. Tommy's not in the best of health anymore. He wasn't even then. I think he had some neck surgery, and he's gotten worse. His wife Cheryl's a sweetheart, and she is like his number one cheerleader for the Hall of Fame. But I'm torn. I'm torn on Tommy John being in the Hall of Fame. He had a very good career. He was never a great pitcher, right? He only won 20 games like twice, maybe twice, maybe one time. No Cy Youngs. The arms, I mean, his biggest, and again, Tommy John's a really, really, really good pitcher. I'm not disparaging Tommy at all. Plus, he's a great personality, great for the game. But his biggest contribution was, getting an arm injury that they had revolutionary surgery on, which I believe is in the Hall of Fame. There's an exhibit there for that. So I don't know. I love Tommy John. I really do. It's very borderline. But again, yeah, listen, if Burt Blyleven's in, then I guess I can put Tommy John in. If Don Sutton's in, I can put Tommy John in. These are guys who pitched long frickin' time. Accumulated great numbers. I don't know. That's your focus too, YouTube. Had to start doing editing clips for shows to get my views up. I think that's one thing I have to do. And it's shame on me, right? I mean, I did retire in August, and I promised I was going to really focus on YouTube, and I haven't. I found a lot of other things to keep me busy. All fall, it was golf, and we've been traveling in the winter, and we've had people here. I spent some extra time with my beautiful, loving wife. And haven't wanted to sit in my studio, in my office, doing clips. But I'm not hiring a producer, so I'm going to have to do it. And I'm going to work on it for sure. Thank you, Jeremy. Hello, JB. Ever notice how many ex-players think they played with someone who should be in the Hall of Fame and former player? Say this again. Ever notice how many ex-players think they played with someone who should be in the Hall of Fame? Former players voted to the mix at a minimum for a senior class. Ken Henderson, all op, think he should be in. I'm having a little trouble following the thought there, JB, but I think I've got it. Former players votes in the mix. So I think you're saying the players think Ken Anderson should be in, not you. I like Ken Anderson. I kind of think Ken Anderson belongs in the Hall of Fame, quite frankly. Ken Anderson was doing things, throwing the football that people weren't doing back in his day, with completion percentage and things like this in that West Coast offense that the Bengals ran. I don't think he gets his due because he didn't get that Super Bowl win. Very hard for quarterbacks who, if your numbers aren't off the charts. Dan Marino, Fran Tarkenton. Without that Super Bowl win, it's hard to get in. And Ken Anderson doesn't have that Super Bowl win. He had that one close loss. Wasn't really as close as it seemed to the 49ers. But he played on a lot of good teams, and I don't know. He's a Hall of Very Good. But he didn't get in, right? Roger Craig got in from that senior class. But I agree, look at everybody thinks that people they played with. Let me go back to this a second too. I think a very interesting case for the Hall of Fame, and he wasn't a finalist this year on the veterans side or whatever they call that part of the voting. And I don't think coaches, by the way, here's another problem. That whole sector, Ken Anderson, Roger Craig, L.C. Greenwood, they were competing for votes with Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft. Coaches and contributors or owners shouldn't be participating or competing against players for votes. Separate that. Where was I going with this? So anyway, some of those guys voted for Ken Anderson that should have voted for Bill Belichick. The NFL's got very screwy rules when it comes to not rules, but criteria for the way they vote. Somebody's got to get in. We can't vote nobody in, for instance. Hey, there's years maybe nobody should be voted in. Major League Baseball does. I'm sorry. The Baseball Hall of Fame does it. There are years where nobody's gotten in. Not a lot, but you don't say, well, we have to have between 4 and 9 or whatever the number is for the NFL. And these things need to be more transparent. If you didn't vote for Bill Belichick, God bless you. I want to know who you are, though. Not because I'm going to come firebomb your house. I just want to know who the idiot is. That's all. There's a hello for JB from Jeremy. I do too. I don't think they did a bad job. There wasn't a lot of plays that were controversial that they could have got wrong, probably. I think they did a really good job. The only blatant call they missed was the shot on Stephon Diggs, and again, it's not like it probably would have mattered in the game, but that's got to get called. It was after the play too, so we got a lot of stuff here. CA says the most important part, under 100 on YouTube, says you scrap that page and start another one. I might have to anyway, because quite frankly, I don't know how to log into it. I got a couple different Google accounts, and I don't know how to get in to manage my page right now. So I'm probably going to have to do that. So any of you who are following me now will have to re-follow me on YouTube at some point. So anyway, scrap that page to start another one. But the most important thing is for us to talk. You being the only person who I gave this phone number by. Did you? I don't remember getting your phone number. I'm happy to talk to you, CA. Oh, it was years ago? I don't know. I was young and foolish then. Now I'm old and worn out. We can talk. If you have insight for YouTube, I'm willing to talk to you. At the time, I probably wasn't. Maybe it was when I had trouble with Facebook, actually, and they took me down for no reason and no explanation. That's why I call them the Nazis. But do me a favor, send it, just PM me it. Well, you're not on Facebook, right? How did you send it to me? How'd you say you sent it to me? By email? Email to me again. We'll talk in the next few weeks, I promise you. I got to get talking before golf starts, or I'll never do this. Don't take it personally, see. I don't call anybody. I don't call anybody. Yeah, Little Caesars. That's what I thought. That's the Illiches. Rick says Paul Spada. Jack may have taken a college class on hockey. But he probably still knows more than a mad New Yorker, Rick. How far behind am I? 950. Well, we fell fairly far behind. Again, guys, don't take offense to the your comments. I make it a habit or a rule to get to every comment. We spend more time on some as the show goes on. We still got 45 minutes to catch up here, so just remember when you're responding, I'm not getting to it for like 20 minutes or 15 minutes at best, 10 minutes at best. So give me a little idea of what you're responding to, I guess. Halftime show for the Super Bowl in 1996 was something else. Phil Hartman was the MC. His face was put on the widescreen. I don't remember this at all. Widescreen view on the Jumbotron. He spoke in a now hear this tone. I don't remember that even a little bit. You know, that's the other thing. And I feel I like to take on topics, right, without, just trying to get clickbait and whatnot, or get myself called a racist. And at the knowing the possibility I'll be called a racist again, I'm going to talk about the Super Bowl halftime show. I'll be very honest with you. I don't know whether I liked it or didn't. I have no idea. We did have it on. Or they did have it on the ship, right? But I mean, when I can't understand the language, and that's my fault, I guess, but how am I supposed to know it was good or bad? I don't know. I really have no opinion on it. I know what other people have written on both sides of it. I think there's hyperbole on both sides, right? I do not think, as somebody posted on Facebook about, they translated the lyrics, and I'm going to guarantee you what they put up as a transcript of the lyrics were not the lyrics. Other people have said that if there was no closed captioning, because if they were, then the FCC would add all kinds of problems. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, obviously, I have Spanish-speaking friends and acquaintances who spoke very highly of what he did. And were there some trashy parts of this? I mean, he's grabbing his crotch, so I'm assuming there was something in the lyrics that was not totally appropriate for the entire audience, or necessarily in good taste. I don't know. So again, most of what I can judge by is what I watched. I didn't understand. So I'm not, and that's not good or bad. It's just I can't say it was good or bad. How people could go on Facebook and say that's the worst halftime show of all time. I don't know how they can say that. I think not Art Kelly, who was the guy who did it last year's. To come to me. I've said his name 1,000 times this week. That I know was awful. Snoop Dogg, who I've come to like Snoop Dogg a lot. I watch him on The Voice, and I see commercials, and he's tied in with the Olympics. I've come to like Snoop Dogg. I don't like his music, and I thought the halftime show that he did a few years ago was just awful. That's my taste. The music, awful. Don't like it. But that's personal. I mean, I don't know what to make of it. I really don't. Again, a lot of the only way I can drive an opinion is what I can find, and I don't trust the stuff that I found about it. I really don't. I know a lot of people put up like this was wonderful. This is what I want my kids to see, and I'm like, why? I don't, because how did you understand what was happening? Because he said, "God bless America." That's it. And by the way, he wasn't talking about just this part of America. I do know that. I do know the message was, you are, meaning the U.S., you are not the only thing happening in the Americas. I know that was part of the message. And that's fine, I guess. If that's what you want in your halftime shows, Roger Goodell, good for you. again, I'm not I'll be called a racist. I was married to a Latina for a long time. Maybe some of you don't know that. I have friends of all cultures, creeds, religions. Again, it'll sound self gratifying, self congratulating, but I consider I'm one of the least racist persons you'll ever meet. But I'll get called a racist because the NFL should be celebrating this America. Now, there's all cultures here, and I'm okay with that. You're here legally. I'm okay with anybody that's here. But again, when he said God bless America, people took it out of context. I did some research on this part because he went right into and talked about all of South America, which is fine. But I'd rather celebrate this country during its biggest event. Sorry, I'll be called a racist again. I know we've lost a couple of loyal followers the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. Maybe it was a month ago. Whenever I posted something, I posted on my personal page. I can't help that. I mean, I didn't do anything other than, speak my mind on a topic that I felt very strongly about. And a lot of people feel the other way. A lot of people feel the same way, and a lot of people feel a different way. If you want to stop following me because of that, you want to unfriend me because of that. I had people that I had interacted with on this show, not necessarily here, but people I'd interviewed that called me a racist and a white supremacist. Not true. My views are my views. I told you guys, and you can tell, I've never hid from my views on this show. I'm a conservative Republican. I do have some more liberal views when it comes to, gay marriage and things like that. There's a line there, right? I don't want men competing with women, trans men or trans women, whatever. I don't know which version I'm supposed to call them, which also probably makes me, a homophobic. But I have no problem with how anybody chooses to live their life. I officiated the wedding of my niece and her wife. But my views tend to be conservative when it comes to this country and law and order. That's all I posted about. And I'm called a racist because we can't disagree. That's what I love about our shows. We can disagree. I thought we could. Some people I can't disagree with, apparently, because if I don't conform to their way of thinking, I can't be, we can't be friends. Listen, I've never unfriended a single person. The people that called me a racist and a white supremacist and a gazillion other names, I didn't unfriend any of them. I put that post up for a reason, to expose some of those people, to show you where the real hate comes from. Not to say there isn't hate that comes from my side. But, anyway, back to sports. If you guys want to comment on any of that, you're free to do it. But back to sports. That's my little... I don't go out of my way to offend people. If they get offended, they get offended. I can't help it. If everybody thought the same way... I told this one guy who responded... I'm sorry, I'm going to go back on this for 1 minute. One guy responded... because someone very close to me was disappointed in what I put up, and I'm not going to single them out. Somebody very close to me put up they were disappointed, and then I said, look, it's fine. I'm disappointed you don't think the way I think, but I respect your right to do it. And the person had put up, I don't know how you can love and respect somebody who doesn't think like you. I tend to gravitate towards people who think exactly what I think. And I'm thinking, that sounds like a cult to me. I'm sorry. It's comical. The place we are in Discord, civil Discord, is unbelievable. Lots of friends I don't agree with, and lots of them don't agree with me. Anyway, sorry. Weakest link on the team is Flaherty. I agree. When Jackson Jobe gets back, I would make him mid reliever. Talking about Jeff. Oh, is it Jeff? No, isn't it John Flaherty? Jack Flaherty? Hold on. I got to know. I got the thing up here. It could be Jeff. It's Jack. It is Jack Flaherty. I don't get these names right that often sometimes. When I'm wrong on names, I admit it. Anyway. All right, we'll do that, CA, because I really do want to dive into this. And I apologize if you think I blew you off. I wasn't, don't be offended. Let's just talk about being offended. Don't be offended. I mean, I probably had a gazillion other times things going on. At the time I was working, and work was, just killing me. It's amazing I was able to do the shows that I did. Book recommendations. We love book recommendations, JB. The Bad Guys Won, the 86 Mets. I have that. I have that book. And I've read it. Very good book. Another good book, by the way, speaking of the Mets. Oh, and a documentary recommendation I found on YouTube. Another great book is The Worst Team Money Can Buy by Bob Klapisch. I finally found it, put it on Kindle and read it. It's about the 80... I don't know if it was the 89, 90 Mets. Bobby Bonilla, Brett Saberhagen, who I love, just happened to be caught up with a bunch of Jeff Torborg was managing that team. So anyway, great book there. This is a good one too, JB. Great call on The Bad Guys Won. Also check out the Worst Team Money Can Buy. And also, I came across, because I'm at nighttime, my wife will watch some of our shows. We watch Jeopardy. We watch, right now it's The Lincoln Lawyer we're watching, in The Pit. Some great shows, man. There's some great stuff streaming right now. But then she'll go to bed, and I'm on YouTube looking for documentaries and whatever. I came up with, and I don't remember the name of it, something simple like A Charmed Baseball Life. It was about Jeff Torborg. About an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. Great. Jeff Torborg, not one of the big names in baseball history, right? But he caught more no-hitters. I still think he's caught more no-hitters than any catcher in baseball. He definitely caught them from more people. He caught them for Koufax. He caught them for Nolan Ryan, and some others. And then he went on to coach and manage. It was really, really interesting to watch, and a man of great faith, and just a man who nobody they interviewed, of course, was pro Jeff Torborg, didn't go look for people that didn't like him probably, but all his ex-players had nothing but great things to say about him. Not the greatest manager in the world, but again, a first-class person from what it looked like. Check it out. I wish I could remember the name of it, and when I find it, I'll share it. Falling further and further behind here. I apologize. Who's your dark horse comeback player of the year? My eye, a healthy Brandon Drury. I'll give you Brandon Drury. I think you've used Brandon Drury, though, multiple years there, Chris. Gunnar Henderson, who didn't have a great year last year, I think could win the award. Maybe even Jackson Holiday. I know he's starting the season hurt, I think JB told me. And maybe you don't consider Gunnar Henderson. I mean, how far do you have to come back? Another guy you like, who I think, I want to say signed with the, where did he sign? Another guy you like, and I like as well, or I did at least when he was a Yankee, is Andujar. I can't remember where he signed this year, and I feel like he's going to have a chance to play a little bit. Another guy to think about. Let me move here anyway. Donna, good morning. Good to have you with us. Donna Richard Gibson. Hope you had a great Valentine's Day. with your husband. Lovely pictures you put up. I'd like to make that a topic on my next baseball roundtable talks. It will be open to fans and other teams. I want to make it like my NFL roundtable talks on Wednesday night. What's that topic now? That's a good example of probably something I said we talked about a while back. But let me know. Oh, 1985? Is that what you're talking about? This season? Let me know when you're going to do it. I'd love to do it. I love talking baseball nostalgia. When I was doing the interviews with baseball players, I mean, I love the guys I got on from the 60s and 70s. I mean, yeah, there were more contemporary guys. Brett Saberhagen was a great interview. Doug DeCinces, a great interview. But I had guys on like Eric Soderholm. Great interview. Had a lot of fun with him. Daryl Knowles. Great interview. Now friends with his wife. They're great people. I mean, Daryl's 80-something years old. You'd think he was in his 60s. Just a bunch of guys. I had a ton. Denny McLean. I had a lot of fun. I love talking baseball nostalgia. A lot of fun. Oh, 85 for meeting. What was the topic for the roundtable? Hello, AC. Good to have you with us, my friend. 85 meeting for Valenzuela. I got to start going through these a little bit faster, but it does. I like, I decided at one point, CA, that, I was getting tired of my studio green screen. I didn't like the way it lit me. It was always whatever. And one day I took it down and I was looking, behind me with the wall of stuff. And I lined up some of my helmets and footballs and stuff to make sure they were in the shot. And I liked it. So I like the look. I didn't put my little totem pole back in the shot here this morning, though. Put him back in there. I have to say, Team USA hockey's playing great. Both the men and women have great shots at a goal. It's going to be, as we talked about, Canada and the U.S. most likely on both levels. Team USA, the men tried to shoot themselves in the foot a little bit early yesterday, but they're just too talented for most of these teams. I think they'll have no trouble with Germany today. It's going to be Canada. I just don't see any other team really giving them any issues. Great video last night. I had a lot of fun. Jeremy's talking about some of the videos. When I go to concerts, I try to put a few minutes of a few times during a concert up live on Facebook, and it's hard to get a really good shot. And people get up in front of you and whatnot. But Eric Church was fabulous last night at the MVP Arena in downtown Albany, and 24 people on that stage. He had background singers. He had a string section. He had horns. And then later on at the end of the show, he stripped it all down to just the guys, the OGs, he called them, the guys who started it all with him 20 some years ago. And that was pretty good too. It was all good. And we had an extra show in front of us. And I really hope this family is out there. This was the strangest family I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if they were all brothers and sisters and mom and dad, or there was a wife and a girlfriend. I sure hope so, because mom was awful friendly with everybody in the family. They played musical chairs. Listen, Allentown, New York. If you don't know about Allentown, New York, look it up. I'm pretty sure these people are from Allentown, New York. Rick will probably know what I'm talking about. And they started a brawl almost pretty much for no reason. Two of them passed out. One of them threw up. I mean, we had just a show in front of me for the whole show. I've seen a lot of stuff. Growing up in Fulton County, New York, man, I saw a lot of stuff. This is the weirdest freaking family I've ever seen. The dynamic, I'm just saying, the gene pool is getting less as they go through generations. And you can read into that anything you want. Yep, Team USA today against Germany. I don't think they have any trouble today, AC. God must be a cowboy at heart. Dan Seals. Hello, Neil. Fortunately, the U.S. hockey team allows the teams. U.S. hockey allows all the teams in the medal round. Mad Dog did a great rant on this. Oh, unfortunately, sorry. Preliminary games only affect seeding. It is kind of screwy, right? It used to be that you had to win an X number of games to get into the medal round, right? In 1980, by the way, another great documentary you have to watch, a brand new documentary out on Netflix about the 1980 U.S. hockey team, the Miracle on Ice, is out on Netflix. It's really, really good. But then you had to win X amount of games or accumulate X amount of points to advance to the medal round, or you didn't play. That's the way it should be. What's the point of playing these games if you're just going to advance everybody anyway? Makes no sense. I agree, Neil Bush, 100%. South Carolina beat LSU 18 times in a row. They beat LSU. Is that right? Good for Kim Malarkey. I know that's not her name, but that's my name for her. Dawn Staley's a great basketball coach. The talk about her being the Knick coach was just a bunch of subterfuge. That was never going to happen. But she's a great college basketball coach. I don't think she can coach in the pros. Maybe she can coach men in college. I think that's where you'll see that happen, quite frankly. We got about 22 minutes left, unless we go over. Winning record for the Lions, Red Wings, Pistons, looking like playoff contenders in the start of baseball preseason. Listen, it's good to be a Detroit fan right now, without a doubt. Your Lions, and I know Rick Sherlock and I disagree on this topic. The Lions window's not closed. Too much talent left on that team. A lot of work to be done. I'm not sure if I'm crazy about the offensive coordinator hire. And Dan Campbell can't be calling plays. He takes the plays over again next year and they crash and burn. He's going to get held responsible. But I don't think their window's closed. Goff's good enough. They got St. Brown. I know they got guys they got to pay. They got to fix that offensive line. But I think they get healthy. This team is not done. I said this about the Bills and I said it about the Lions both. Window's not closed. I think you're headed for a nice year in Detroit this year. Hello, GM Keith. Oh, GM. Good morning, Keith. Hello, Bill Pulver. How are you, my friend? One of those people who I know I probably disagree with, but again, doesn't disappear out of my friends list on Facebook. I don't unfriend anybody. I get called a racist and a gazillion other names. Never friended one of them. A couple have unfriended me. Couple people I've noticed haven't come around the show that commented, and whatever. It is what it is. Hello, Matt. Good to have you with us out there in Orange County. Got to go through your hellos pretty quick so I can get to other stuff. I will not pay for subscribers. I'm not going to do that either. I think it's criminal that they do. I know, again, not to bore these guys with this stuff too much. I'll get with CA and I'll work on that YouTube side. Anybody who does this is inundated with guys who say, I'm going to get you X amount of viewers and subscribers and blah, 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 blah. I'm not paying for nothing. We had a wonderful Valentine's Day, Donna. Thank you so much. I mentioned we went to this, we found this cute little Latino, I guess, cafe. And I had some paella, which I love. We had some empanadas, and I had a nice glass of Melback from Argentina. And we went to see Eric Church and had a blast. And now we're both tired. I'll probably sleep all afternoon. Hope you had a great one with your better half as well. You were still busy working. You weren't going to press because you were I was under enough pressure, man. I'll tell you. Best thing I ever did was retire. My life has changed so much in the last 4 months. September, October, November, December. I guess 6 months. Am I 6 months out? Really? September, October, November, December, January. 6 months. I've lost 35 pounds. I sleep at night. No stress. Amazing. Thank you for understanding, CA. People don't like when your opinions don't agree with them. It's sad. It is sad. I mean, listen, we're a country of different opinions. I don't begrudge anybody their opinion. I might think it's 100% wrong, but you're your right to have it. I could go on, and it's really sad. I posted what I posted for a couple of reasons. I was fed up, and I also wanted to show some people the type of, quite frankly, disgusting responses that I would get to it, and I was not disappointed, or was. I get it all the time. I say I don't mind. I do not mind people talking crap about teams as long as they do not make it personal. No, you should never draw it personal. Nothing. Whether it's sports, whether it's politics, whether it's religion. I don't care what you talk about in life. Money. Don't make it personal. I mean, believe me, there's no less racist person that I know than me. Maybe, I guess if you're a Klan member, that doesn't make you that much. Navar's that said, I'm not, though. I'm serious about this. I joke about it because I joke about everything. And I don't like people I don't go out of my way to offend people. But believe me, I said this a few weeks back in November. We were on a cruise, actually, when I was doing a show on Sunday. And I don't know, somebody been offended by something. I'm like, I don't go out of my way to offend people. But if you're getting that offended by something I've got to say, you really need to reevaluate your entire way of thinking. Just saying. Oh, thank you, Donna. Bless you, too. 68K views of December 10th, 2025. You're approaching 150K. That's a great job, Jeremy. I mean, I top out at about on Facebook at about 60,000 a month. But it's been diminishing too the last, I don't know, 6 months, because they changed the way I can share the shows and whatnot. And so, yeah, we're gonna work on. I am the leader of the White Supremacists. I just, I am, at night, I'm burning crosses and wearing a white hood. That's what I do. My wife wonders where I am when I stay up late. I tell her I'm watching YouTube documentaries, and I'm actually out, riding the neighborhoods. Kidding. John had 321 seasons. Well, thank you for straightening me out. I thought he only had one with New York. I was going to give you two because I thought he had one with the Dodgers, possibly had one with the Dodgers, one with the Yankees. I don't remember two with the Yankees, but I'll give it to you. Actually, now I got to look. Because I can't just concede. Sometimes I will. Oops. Hold on. You're probably right, Matt. You got the baseball card to prove it. My memory used to be much better in these areas. I thought he won 20 games once with the Yankees. He won 20 and 77 with the Dodgers, which was 2 years removed, if I'm not mistaken. That's just 2 years removed from his Tommy John surgery. Because year before he was 10 and 10. I think he came back in midseason, and he did win 79 and 80. My bad. I thought he only won 20 games in 1979. So kudos to you, Matt. Right again. Shouldn't doubt you, my friend. Should never doubt you. Jim Kelly as well. Jim Kelly about what? What about Jim Kelly? What was I talking about? It's a good example of, I can't remember. Hall of Fame's a joke. It has no meaning anymore. They should just get rid of the Hall of Fame. I don't know which one you're talking about. I'm assuming the NFL Hall of Fame. I don't think they should do it. I don't think they should get rid of it. I think Hall of Fames are good. I think people should be honored. But I think we have to maybe change the criteria. I mean, you know, how are you going to pick starting pitchers to get in the Hall of Fame anymore? What are you going to use as a criterion? Because it used to be simple: wins and saves and ERA and Cy Youngs. I guess you could still base on Cy Youngs because people have to win Cy Youngs. But you're not going to have guys win. I don't know if you're going to get 200 game winners anymore the way we play the game. And there's guys in football because they play different positions. They play in different eras. You can't compare. Chuck Foreman, I've talked about this. I started to go here earlier and I forgot. Chuck Foreman belongs in the Hall of Fame. I know Rick will agree with me. I know Chuck agrees with me because he told me during an interview. My favorite moment, I call it my A Few Good Men moment. We're talking about the Hall of Fame, and he didn't understand what the criteria was. He didn't know this. And I just said, do you think you belong in the Hall of Fame, Chuck? And he said, you're goddamn right I do. Rick loves that. I wish I had that clip. That'd be a good one to make a reel out of, wouldn't it, Jeremy? CA? Lomas Brown, Torrey Holt are two of the very good and borderline Hall of Fame types for their career. Borderline. Torrey Holt's not a Hall of Famer in my mind. I wanted to see Otis Taylor in the Hall of Fame before Torrey Holt. Otis Taylor was one of the premier, if not the premier wide receiver in football for a 5, 6, 7 year period. But the numbers are never going to look like they look like for guys today because they didn't throw the football that way. Otis Taylor played today, he'd be catching 120 passes a year and scoring 20 touchdowns. Mark Clayton's a good one. Lines up against all the wide receivers in the Hall. Again, wide receivers are very hard to compare, right? Because, again, Mark Clayton, because guys accumulate, guys who are average. I'm not saying Mark Clayton is. I'd have to look closer at Mark Clayton's credentials, JB, quite frankly. Rings matter. Rings do matter, but they shouldn't be, the end-all, be-all, right? That's why I think Ken Anderson should be in. I do think it matters. When I'm judging who the greatest are of all time, rings are going to matter. When it comes to the Hall of Fame, not so much. But it's hard with wide receivers because there are guys who are just average players that are getting huge numbers now. Again, I mentioned Otis Taylor. You look at him where he stands probably in career receptions, he's probably not breaking the top, I don't know, 200 now. But he's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. AC wants to get rid of Hall of Fame. Pat Borders now 64 and still managing. He was a pretty good catcher in his day. Went right into coaching when he stopped playing at 43. I didn't know he played till 43. In short, Pat has been putting on cleats and baseball pants since he was 8 years old. There's a lot of lifers out there and that don't get their credit. Guys like Pat Borders. He's not the only one. Look at guys like Ron Washington. Same kind of thing. Who was the guy that played with Babe Ruth, was a coach for a long time? Man, this guy was in baseball for like 80 years. Coach for the Angels, Jimmy Reese. I think it was Jimmy Reese. Long gone now, but a lot of lifers. Some of it was awful. Some was good. I'm not sure what we're talking about. Oh, it's like we're back to the, are we back to the halftime show? One song directly was about not letting Puerto Rico become a 51st state. I agree. And again, why do I need political statements for the halftime show in the football? I got Facebook for that. I don't know. Yes, and again, that's what his point was. When people, that's why I don't get why this great redeeming part of the show was God Bless America, because he didn't mean these United States. He meant all of Americans, which I'm not saying is wrong. But I also think that there's a context there saying that us, we're not the only America, which he's right. Technically, he's right. But whatever. I also heard there was going to be ICE agents waiting, at the exits of the Super Bowl to arrest people. I don't think that happened. This was about expanding the league into world markets. Fair. I listen, and that's fine too. Whatever. I do think Roger Goodell spends way too much time trying to expand the NFL into world markets. We're already playing games in Mexico, in Brazil, Spain. We're going to play in Australia now. It's all fine. We're not expanding leagues. And I know they want to expand the leagues into world markets. There's never going to be an NFL, National Football League, that includes teams in Europe. Maybe South America. Never in Europe. Never 5, 6, 10, 12 hours away. It'll never work. Never work. The travel would kill teams. Rich, watch every Super Bowl since 1970. I haven't seen a single halftime show. You missed some good ones. There were some good ones, but I don't watch anymore. I usually will do the same thing. I was kind of stuck in a place where I'm not judging it, whether it was good or bad. I have no idea. I don't speak Spanish. Should give me subtitles. Problem with a halftime show is that it's too long. I agree. The game has become more about the halftime show than the game. Agreed. It interrupts the game and disrupts the flow of the game way too much. I agree 100%. They played about 10 interrupted songs. I have no idea. It felt like one long song to me. No commercials yet. Every time there's a change of possession of the game, there are commercials. Also, by the way, I don't care about Super Bowl commercials. Am I the only guy who wants to watch a game? No, AC is obviously. They spent more uninterrupted. We didn't get the real commercials, by the way, on the ship, which is fine. I don't need them. But there's way too much downtime. They spent more uninterrupted time on the halftime show than they did in the actual Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, you can't interrupt. But we already said the halftime's too long. You can't put a commercial break in the middle of it. But I don't think that's what you're saying. I think you're saying we need to have less commercial. We need more playing time. My thoughts exactly. I love when Arnold Schwarzenegger was on The View and they asked him about when he came over as an immigrant. And he answered, yes. The other thing I find ridiculous when people say, well, my ancestors came over here. They didn't come illegally. Some did, but they look at. If people are here and they're contributing members of society. Ronald Reagan granted amnesty to 3 million illegal immigrants soon after his inauguration, because they were contributing members of society. They were paying taxes. They were doing whatever. But he said, "I'll grant you amnesty, but you have to get this done," and they did. And if you're not willing to do that, I mean, we have to start from the premise that if you're here illegally, you're breaking the law. It's a pretty simple premise. I don't want to go down this road. Democrats hate white men having freedom. Well, that's for sure. I don't know if they literally want white men to be slaves. But again, I got called if Bad Bunny could kill me and get away with it, he would. I don't know about that. That might be taking, again, you're entitled to your opinion, as I said everybody was. But, again, I did get called a racist and a white supremacist and, not able to recognize my own white privilege, which he said, I'm so glad you asked. He said, I'm so glad you asked me this. Oh, yeah. Back to Schwarzenegger. Did it legally. He must have shut them up, right? I think John Kennedy said, Senator John Kennedy said he's not sure if there's a hell, but he's sure that if there is a hell, it would be, you'd be forced to watch reruns of the View for eternity. I do hate people. I do hate people who hate me. I don't really hate people, but I get it. I don't. Well, again, I think they hate us more for our views than they do our skin color, but that's just me. Hello, Michael. How are you? You just walked into the political part of our show, which we'll try to get out of right now if we can. I don't know what to do myself. No football. Hate this time of year. College basketball, my friend. I think you'd like college basketball. Can you get it over there, Michael? Watch the college football, college sports huddle on Wednesdays. We'll be talking a lot of college basketball, and we'll get you up to speed. I promise you. Who knows? I always just see Jay Flaherty on most sites, unless I click the link. I know. I do. There's certain guys I just can never remember their right full name. Michael Gott is in the house. Jeff Torberg, Montclair State. Yes. Along with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. I didn't know he was a Montclair State guy. Hall of Famer Sam Mills. Good catches, JB. Watch this documentary. It is very interesting. It follows him right from his college career through the Dodgers, the Angels, the end of his playing career, taking over the manager of the Indians from Frank Robinson, 10 years with the Yankees. Talks about how he kind of got a 10-year contract. Padres, that's what I thought. Thank you, Neil. I knew I think he'll get some playing time there. He's a guy I've liked a lot. He just doesn't have a position. He never played great defense at third base for the Yankees. But his rookie year, man, he was a doubles machine. And then injuries took over, and the Yankees gave up on him. Cole likely will not start the season. He's throwing and throwing well, but him and Rendon and maybe Cam Sheetler now are not going to start the season for the Yankees, which hopefully – the last I heard about Cole was late April, maybe even 1st of May. Rendon, I think, is unknown. And Keem Shidler hopefully will start the season. Right now, he's dealing with some issues. Hopefully, nothing major. The topic of dark horse. Oh, that's what you want to have a round table about? I'm still trying to figure that out. I'd love to come in and participate. I don't think you invited me. Don Mattingly is another 100%. Don Mattingly belongs in the Hall of Fame. Don Mattingly was one of the dominant players, and at times the best player in Major League Baseball over the span of 6 or 7 years. Injuries curtailed that, but when he played, he was at times the best player in the game. How many guys are in the Hall of Fame now that played for 20 years were never the best player in the game? And I'll tell you, go back, and you can even go look at Don Mattingly's numbers compared to Kirby Puckett, who's a great player. I think Kirby Puckett belongs in the Hall of Fame. Don Mattingly compares pretty favorably with Kirby Puckett. A shame for the center for the LA Kings towards ACL in the Olympics. It is, but I still think these guys should go play in international competitions. I said, and we're going to go a couple minutes long here. I don't want to go too much past 11, but we'll go. We're definitely going to get through the comments here. These guys are going to get hurt, right? I talked earlier about the WBC. I'm a big proponent of the WBC. I love international competition. I love guys who want to go play for their country, especially ones who don't want to bash it after they get to the medal stand. But guys are going to get hurt. We saw Edwin Diaz get hurt a few years ago in the WBC. It's going to happen. But if you're going to get hurt, you're going to get hurt. The fact that he went there and played and got hurt is absolutely a shame. I'm not going to call it tragedy. We use those words too many times when there are tragedies, real tragedies in the world. He did like a wrecking ball last night too, by the way, and it was brought the house down. He did. They also the whole version of his entourage, the strings, the horns, the backup singers, and he's got one woman who sings a lot of vocals with him, who's right up on stage with him a lot. They did a great version of Proud Mary last night that was brought the house down. I mean, it was awesome. And I wish I'd videoed a little of that. I didn't think about it until I thought it was kind of too late to do. ABA doc on Prime was with, I've got that queued up, actually. I've watched a bunch of them, Matt, and that's one I haven't seen yet. There's some other good ones. There's a good book out there, too, called crap, I can't remember the name of that now either. Damn it. You'd like it. If you're an ABA fan, you'd like it. I'm going to catch that one on Prime, though. No politics here. Does Budweiser still make an ice beer? They do not. Chris and I are single-handedly trying to work out negotiations between the Canadian and the U.S. governments, and we're going to take over for the Prime Minister and the President because we think we can do it better. I'm speaking for you, Chris. I hope that's okay. I think we can do a better job of straightening out our differences than they can, because they're both jackwagons when it comes to this topic. I'm still friends with Billy, although his hair is now blue. Billy's hair is now blue? Maybe we should invite Billy to lunch with us. You still out there, Billy? When I get together with Rick, you want to have lunch with us? You should do that. Eric Church, one of my faves. Really good show, by the way. Not as country as a lot of the guys that I like. More country rock. And he's got a lot of stuff that he does has a rock feel to it. But there's always that country twang there. He puts on a tremendous show. So that's one. Well, that's it. I'm sorry. It's one side believes that. Actually, both sides believe that. I can't put that all on the left. I mean, guys get assassinated for just exercising their right of freedom of speech. If we all agreed the same thing, it'd be like a one giant cult. We want to live in a Stepford society? I don't. I know what I believe should happen, and I believe very strongly about it. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. I respect your right to be wrong. This is true, Michael. It's often going through my head. Facebook sides views are dropping like flies for you, too. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I went from 2,000 to 3,000 a show, and I was in 60 and sometimes 80,000 a month, and we've been dropping I guess the last month they split up something, they changed something. I don't see, how you don't see the views on my phone anyway. You don't see the views on the video, and I think when I'm sharing, I'm thinking maybe the groups aren't even getting them. Hall of Fame worthy players. That's the round table. Still guessing. Happy birthday to former Melito Perez. Kind of wild that he's only 60 today. It does seem like he'd be older than that. Brother of Pasquale, former Yankee as well. Governmental systems and media marketing has successfully made it personal, overwhelming. It's because many people are intentionally confused about earned and unearned benefits, rights, and privileges. Well, you got that right. Garrett Cole is at 153. Few healthy seasons. Well, yeah, I'm actually talking about guys who are getting started now. I mean, Garrett Cole's got a shot. There's a couple other guys with a shot at 200, but 300 obviously will never be seen again unless things change quickly. Blitnikoff, 89.74. Clayton, 89.74. And my interview with Clayton, Hall of Fame discussion is a bookmark. See his stats against Hall members. I will do that. I'll check out that interview because I don't think I saw that one, JB. Jimmy Reese. Got that one right, didn't I, Matt? sometimes I know some stuff. You were born in 1970? I got 10 years on you, man. Oh. My body's starting to feel the 66 years now. You know what, though? Let's see, so you're 56. I love my 60s. I've loved it. My body betrays me now and again. But I am absolutely 100% loving my 60s. No interest in Bad Bunny. Turned on the country show. I didn't turn on. I couldn't. I was on the cruise ship, so I had to watch what they put on. Just a marching band out there for the Super Bowl. You know, I agree. Go back to what they did for this first Super Bowl. I'll send you a link in an hour before the show, Keith. It'll be 13 years from today. 13 years from today. What? You want me to come on the show? Is that what you're saying, Jeremy? I'd be happy to. I kind of invited myself. 13 days. What day is that? I got to make sure I'm around. I don't even know. Anyway, let me know what day it is. Send me the date and time and stuff. And I'd love to, what's going on another show? 13 years, I can't promise I'll be here. After learning about the ABA, I'm going to collect some hoops cards. Cool. Listen, I wish I could remember the loose balls. You want to read a good book, and you can probably, if you have Kindle, you can probably get it for like $3. Loose Balls was the name of the book. It's really good. It chronicles like each season of the NBA. It's really, really good and well done. There's also another documentary besides that one. There's a few out there. If you go on YouTube and search ABA, you'll find a bunch of stuff. You can even find some ABA, NBA exhibition games. What's Keith up? Ribs, beer. Now today, listen, probably I would, in doubt, we'll watch some Olympics. I'll watch a little college basketball. We'll watch we might even finish up the Lincoln Lawyer season today. I wouldn't doubt today and tonight. And there'll be naps in between. That's what's on. I ate too much yesterday, so my diet kind of got screwed up, Chris. Chris, let me know. Shoot me a message. See if you got a smartphone. See if you can download something like that voice recorder that I mentioned, so that we can. I want to finish up these scripts. I worked on them with AI, ChatGPT, a little this week, and I've got to, edit and tweak them a little bit. But I think I might have them ready to go this week. Oops, what did I do here? Left wing or right wing, part of the same bird, has been messing with John Q. Public since 1913. By the way, we had tariffs as what supported the government until 1913, when income tax was passed and Congress started getting a salary. That's a great point, Jeremy. 2 Saturdays. I hope it's not the date I got my baseball draft. It depends on the time. We can make it work. Have a great draft. Hey, you guys have a great day too. I've had a great. Listen, sometimes I get in here and I go, "Oh shit, no football." Oops, sorry, swore again. And I wonder what we'll talk about. We had a lot of fun today. I'm looking at some people that may not have been out. MD Newer, I'm sure he's going to try to sell me something. Hey, Alex Mize, how are you? Patty Blylev and AC Knight. Everybody's out here today enjoying our day. You guys have been wonderful as always. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talk. Catch us again tomorrow morning on Jackie Keith's Weekend Playbook. We'll get you up to date on all things we see as important from the weekend. I'll work on the Jim Behringer thing. I'll work with CA on the YouTube thing. I need all of you to make sure that you get YouTube accounts so that you can come over there and like and share and subscribe that show, because we got to push the views over there and get off this stupid Facebook, because I've just about had it. You guys have a great day. Keith Engle from TGI Sports Talk. Have a great day. All of you. Bye-bye. Harry Pluto.